Bienvenidos, estimados, a un nuevo show de Dead Ground Show por Rock a la Vena. Mi nombre es Wiltus. Estamos aquí con un invitado muy especial, que es el estimado Ken Mary, de Fifth Angel, un ingeniero, productor, gran músico, baterista, de los mejores que hay en la escena. Actualmente acaban de sacar un nuevo disco con Fifth Angel, su cuarto disco, un personaje importante. Así que, Mr. Ken, how are you? Welcome to the Dead Ground Show.
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure, sir. It's a pleasure. Well, I'm glad to be here. We're here because we're going to talk about, this new record of Fifth Angel. But before that, we want you to know how you're doing, how is Ken Mary after this whole share with the pandemic situation, right? Now we 2023, this is a whole new situation, including in the music business.
Sure. Well, COVID was definitely a problem. I mean, it was a big problem for us, making the record. It made things much more difficult. It's made touring in 2023 even more difficult. So, obviously we're seeing the prices of touring go way, way up, and the amount of money that bands are getting paid is staying the same. So it's becoming a real problem for bands that are maybe in midline bands. It's not a problem if you're Iron Maiden, but it is a problem if you're Fifth Angel. So it's a little bit of a challenging time, and but we're doing the best that we can and trying to make great music and trying to inspire our fans the best we can.
Oh, got it. Bueno, le comentaba a Ken Mary sobre, cómo ha estado todo después de esta situación pandémica y cómo está con lo que es la industria musical actualmente. Y me dice que ha sido bastante difícil para medianas, quizás no sea tan difícil para bandas como Iron Maiden, obviamente no es problema, pero para bandas un poco más chicas los costos han aumentado demasiado, entonces se le hace difícil salir de gira, sobre todo actualmente. Now, just about the cost to be touring, this year, what do you think is that situation about all the costs go up? Do you think because we have more demand, less offer?
Well, my personal opinion, if you look at inflation, traditionally it's caused by government spending, and the government spent, in the United States, we spent trillions of dollars, and in Europe, they spent billions and billions of dollars. So I think, the challenge there is, those economies are definitely affected by everything that was implemented during COVID. And I think that's the other challenge too, is that, everybody's trying to get back out. Everybody's trying to tour. For instance, I have a tour coming up in the United States. You can't even get a tour bus because they're all sold out. I mean, all the tour bus companies are out of tour buses. Everybody's on the road. So I think that was the other thing that was a problem, is before COVID, people would kind of stagger touring. Now it's like everybody's trying to get out there at the same time. So I think, that's another part of the equation that's been a little bit challenging.
Because everybody wants the money now, wants to recover all the money that they lost because the whole COVID thing. So that was about to say that, because right now, for example, here in Chile, there are too many band tourists at the same time. So you have in one day like 3 concerts in a row, or even more, or maybe 2 big festivals in the city. Trying to get all the money, as you say, there is no tour buses. That's stupid. I mean, that's a lot of money going around. But as you say, maybe for a big band, that's okay. That's a relief. But for middle bands or small band, is kind of a problem. So talking about that, Fifth Angel, one of the biggest bands back in the 80s, right? Now you have a full record, just came out back in June. Pretty cool, through Nuclear Blast. Congratulations, by the way. I hear the first single, the whole record now, but since I heard the single, the song is pretty awesome. It's I know that you have a lot of people, a lot of fans, that they have this kind of inside fighting, that you are heavy metal, you are power metal, Well, I just say very well, you always being a power metal band, let's say an American power metal, I don't know if you feel me. But the sound of this record is pretty awesome, pretty heavy. 15, 15 tracks, 70 minutes. That's even for this standard right now, that's a lot and that's pretty cool because you have a new concert right behind. Who was the idea to the whole let's say yes idea behind the record?
Well, are you talking about the concept album? Well, think we talked about doing a concept album all the way back on the Third Secret, because we did notice on the first two albums that there were a lot of themes and ideas that were similar that could be woven into a whole story, but we never got around to it. So on When Angels Kill, we finally had the time because of COVID, and we took a lot of the themes and a lot of the stories from the previous albums, and we just wove them into a single story. So it was really kind of a unique thing. I don't think anybody's ever done that before, where they took their previous music and then made it into a story for a new album. So I would say, in terms of our category, in terms of the idea for doing that, I would say that it was probably. I think it was my idea to weave the records together, but we had talked about doing a concept record on the last album, which was The Third Secret, which came out, I think, in 2018. So that idea was kind of sitting there, and we just had the time to do it. And then, of course, when COVID hit, we had plenty of time to do it. So that's why that happened. And then as far as the infighting with the fans, I think we're definitely power metal. I think, when I listen to us, it's not super heavy. It's very melodic. You can sing along to it. Our fans, like when we played the Kit Festival back in May, everybody's singing along to every song, even the new songs. And I think that, we're certainly solidly in the power metal category. I think, honestly, if you look at Fifth Angel, I think we were one of the forefathers of the power metal movement. If you think of power metal and you go back and listen to our first two albums, I think that really it did influence a lot of bands that became power metal.
Okay, bueno. Primeramente le había comentado en la anterior pregunta sobre todo lo que tiene que ver con los costos de la gira y cómo él me comentaba que ya incluso no hay ni siquiera buses de los tours allá en Estados Unidos. Por lo tanto, todo se ha vuelto un caos, todo se ha vuelto hay demasiada demanda, los precios están muy altos y salir es un dolor de cabeza cuando antes no lo era. Y ahora le comentaba que con su nuevo disco, el cual está muy brutal, tiene grandes canciones, son 70 minutos, un disco totalmente conceptual. Le decía quién fue de la idea y me dice que fue la idea de Mr. Ken, que él dice que pocas bandas han hecho eso, tratar de tener material que ya habían grabado desde su pasado disco de Third Secret hasta y lo que hicieron fue unirlos y darle una idea, un concepto, que es esta idea de este típico luchador post-apocalíptico que lucha contra un tirano. Now, Mr. K, the concept behind this new record, right, is a guy in a post-apocalyptic, future who wants to fight against a tyrant, right? Here in Latin America, we are kind of used to that concept, if you're talking about so,
well, we are becoming more familiar with that concept ourselves. So,
well, now you know. It's pretty funny. I mean, I just want to mention that because they say, look, this shit is actually Latin America. Hopefully, no US, but well, we never know. And now everything, all the war is fuck up. Wars everywhere. Warlords everywhere. But well, that's another topic. Now, Mr. Ken, the question. I was doing my research and I realized that you say that it is a huge difference between audience and fans in the US and the rest of the world. And you say actually that difference. Because you say maybe a huge band, they can play in a small club back in, I don't know, California, Seattle, whatever. But the same band can play in a huge stadium right outside the rest of the world. Do you think that thing influenced that bands like Fifth Angel is still alive, still making great music with a lot of fans outside of the world?
Well, I'm not sure, why that is. I think you're probably referring to some interviews where I talked about, bands. You look at a band like Man of War, and they're huge, in Latin America, and in the United States they'll be playing small venues. So it is something that I don't really understand why in Europe and why in South America, and you go to different places in the world and metal is huge, and in the United States I think it's very controlled. I think it's very limited. I don't think that there's the outlet for it. I think the media doesn't like metal in the United States. I think they're scared of metal in the United States.
Why do you think they can be scared? Because we can take back the throne, something like that?
I'm not sure, but I think metal, if you look at the history of music, there was always a cycle of music where, rock would be big, and then country would be big, and then pop would be big, and then rap would be big. In the United States, rap has been big. Rap and hip hop and pop have been huge for 30 years, and there's been no cycle where metal has taken over. And I just look at that. I think that's a predetermined effort by the tech companies and by the powers that be that are just saying, it's not allowed. It's not allowed in the United States. This is not allowed to be successful. And my classic example for that is, you look at bands like Halloween, you look at Sabaton, you look at Arch Enemy, you look at, I mentioned Man of War, we playing huge places in South America. Any of these bands, they come to the United States. Arch Enemy will go to South America and they'll play in front of 500,000 people. They come to the United States, and all of a sudden they're playing House of Blues and maybe 1,500 people. And so, how do you explain that? I don't think that there's less metal fans in the United States. I think that the music is not allowed to get out like it is in South America and in Europe.
Le comentaba a quien primero le comentaba sobre, le mencionaba sobre su disco, que en este futuro posapocalíptico, que trata sobre esta persona que lucha contra un tirano. Le decía que aquí en Latinoamérica estamos bastante acostumbrados a eso por nuestra historia política en distintos países, y él se ríe y él dice que bueno, que ahora está así en Estados Unidos. Y ahora le estoy nombrando que porque esa diferencia, porque le he escuchado en otras entrevistas con Ken, esa diferencia del por qué las audiencias en Estados Unidos no llenan cuando esas mismas bandas van para afuera y llenan de todo tipo de locaciones. Y él me nombró varias bandas como Man of War, Arch Enemy, Halloween, que son bandas que aquí son grandes. Bueno, acá en Chile Halloween es muy grande y cada vez que viene son fácil un Movistar Arena, por ejemplo, pero cuando van para Estados Unidos tocan en pequeños lugares, con House of Blues, y todavía él no entiende el porqué, pero él dice que en Estados Unidos hay una industria que los presiona y no los deja crecer. Now, man. So, following the same question, but with Fifth Angel, you have a particular situation back in the 80s, maybe starting the 90s, when the second record came out, right? So, you was one of the biggest promises, including with another bands, right? But grunge came in.
Yes.
From Seattle, and well, we all know that Seattle is one of the is when the grunge, born. So,
yes.
And so in one of the same research that the grunge killed maybe the movement, even they mocking from another bands, and that made that your record deal went down. Is that correct?
Well, I believe that grunge was definitely an interesting movement. If you look at musical history again, you're never going to see basically once grunge came in, if you weren't grunge, you were terrible. You were off of the map, so to speak. So that was a problem because the record companies bought into that. The record companies bought into that philosophy. And at the corporate level, again, it's like it was either grunge or you were gone. And, Fifth Angel lost its deal, and a lot of bands did. I mean, a lot of bands were affected, a lot of metal bands. I mean, even if you look at big bands like, Megadeth and Metallica went through difficult stages in the 90s. Like they had tough times in the United States in the 90s because of grunge, because they were considered old or whatever. And the grunge bands were not, their fans and the bands were very vehement about it. They were, I saw footage of, the singer in Alice in Chains, making fun of bands and, making fun of Megadeth and things like this. And it's like, I've never seen that happen in music history before. So I just think it was a weird time. The industry bought into it. And back then, there was no internet. Where like nowadays, if with YouTube and social media, you could stay in contact with your fans. You could still put out new music. You could still progress and do what you wanted to do. But back then, if you didn't have a record deal, you were gone. And so it was a very difficult time for a lot of bands, not just Fifth Angel, but for basically any of those bands. I mean, we came up from the Seattle music scene, which was, Queensryche and Fifth Angel and Metal Church and bands like Q5 and Heir Apparent. And, there was kind of a metal scene happening in Seattle before the grunge movement. And then once grunge hit, it was a very different experience.
That's a shit, because we're supposed to be together, because we belong to the same movement, grunge, rock, metal. I mean, but we're supposed to be together with each other. But that was another time. I mean,
well, here's the weird thing. Like, if metal was huge, would I sit there and make fun of other bands that weren't metal? I don't go out of my way to insult bands that are not my kind of music. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't ever insult other bands. So just the fact that some people took it upon themselves to do that, I think was very unprofessional. And I think it was very, as an artist, I found that very unsettling.
I'm agree with that. Yo le comentaba a Mr. Ken sobre el por qué cuando la salida de Fifth Angel, su segundo récord y muchas otras bandas, qué fue lo que los mató en su momento. Y yo le había visto en otros comentarios que él decía que el movimiento grunge, lamentablemente, era un movimiento que nació y pisoteó todo, hizo que se les cayera los contratos grandes que ellos ya tenían para ese momento. Y muchas de las bandas de aquel momento se burlaban incluso de bandas grandes, lo cual todavía no entiende. Yo le comentaba que es por qué no nos ayudamos si estamos juntos en el mismo movimiento. ¿Por qué no nos ayudamos? Y es lo que a él se refiere, que ellos vienen de Seattle junto con otras grandes bandas y entre ellos mismos se cagaban, si hablamos en términos chilenos. Y creo que eso también lo vemos muchas veces en escenas locales, cuando bandas locales o movimientos locales se joden. So, Mr. K, the music industry changed a lot through the years, okay? Even before the pandemic thing, they've been evolving. So even the way that they're making music right now, making single first, then the record, and maybe when I mean we, the metal movement, they're still doing records, right? Like when Angel Skill concert record, 15 songs, as they always should be. Why do you think that we still, I don't know, maybe we still being conservative? I can say that. Other, let's say, genres of music, they try to be along with the wave, like, okay, I'm gonna make one single, then 3 months later another single, then through the year they have like 12 singles, they just keep that on the record. Why do you think that metal, they have the same formula and they still working it and they still making money, or at least try to make money? Why do you think that,
Sure.
that even Fifth Angel with a new record, we're still with that formula? and not with the new.
Well, sure. I know exactly what you're saying, and I agree with that. I'm not sure why. I think maybe because metal fans, to me, I think they're a little more loyal to the bands that they support. I mean, if you look at Fifth Angel, we've had fans that have stuck with us for, many years, and we're very appreciative and very thankful for that. But I think metal fans take music a lot more seriously when there's an album, and the press and basically the industry will take more notice when it's an actual album as opposed to just releasing a single. At least in metal, I mean, I think that's the way it is now. Maybe that will change in 10 years, maybe 5 years, who knows? I mean, maybe bands will begin just releasing singles, like you said. They do that in the pop realm all the time. They do that in different styles of music. So maybe that will happen in metal. I don't think it's happening yet. And I think it's because metal fans are pretty loyal, and they want to hear an album. They want to hear more than one song. I think it's hard to keep their interest with one song. I think one song just goes by so quick now. Okay, well, there's the new song, and then it's gone. And I think to keep a fan's interest in metal, I think you are better off doing a record, I believe.
Exactly, because if you don't have a record, if you have only one single, my anxiety is gonna come out.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how the pop doing it. Well, it's a fast music industry right now. But well, that's their formula, and that's pretty cool. But still, we have Fifth Angel. Now I have another question. You have another Flotsam and Jetsam in the band. I mean, you're talking about a member. You see that they sound maybe influence something in this new record or not?
Well, a little bit, yeah, because obviously, somebody goes, yeah, some of it sounds a little Flotsamish, and I can understand that. I do write in Flotsam, and I also, with this record and the situation we had, Ed Archer at one point couldn't play. He was having trouble with his hand. And so I brought in Steve Conley, who's my friend from Flotsam. And so, he came in and played on some tracks. And, honestly, Steve and I are in Flotsam, and we have a way of playing. And so I think to some degree there's going to be a little bit of that influence in there. But I think at the same time, the bands are very different. Flotsam's like, the way I describe Flotsam is I say it's like 5 guys in 5 cars that are pushing the gas pedal down all the way, full speed, the whole time. It's like 5 guys just going nuts. There's stuff going on everywhere, and somehow, and we don't even know how, but somehow it all works together musically. I mean, we're all playing crazy stuff, tons of drum stuff, tons of vocal stuff, tons of guitar stuff, tons of bass stuff. Everybody's just going crazy, and somehow it works and sounds like a song, and we usually come up with some great songs. Fifth Angel is different than that. Fifth Angel is more melodic. It's more, some of the songs. Not every song is super fast. It's a little bit of a different. I think it's a very different band. So, but I understand that some people might go, oh, that guitar sound is similar to a Flotsam guitar, because that's on some of it Steve's playing, and obviously drumming. I'm drumming, so there's going to be some similarities there. But I do think that the bands are very different.
Yeah, and dude, by the way, Blood on the Water. Well, that's a heavy record. Those drums on that record was beautiful.
Thank you.
That's 100% Flotzilla. I spoke with A.K. Knudson like a year ago, I believe, in the middle of the pandemic thing, talking about the Blood in the Water album. And dude, each record, each track sounds amazing, and that's pretty cool. So good job there. So le estaba hablando a Mr. Ken primero le comentaba cómo había cambiado todo la parte comercial, cómo se comercializaba la música, sobre que muchos lanzan singles y otros lanzan CDs o álbum completo, como es el metal. Que porque ellos mantienen esa fórmula y nosotros aún mantenemos, nosotros metal la tenemos. Y él dice que, bueno, que realmente está de acuerdo con eso, que no sabe por qué, pero él entiende que el fanático del metal le gusta ese disco, le gusta tener toda esa historia de una vez, no solo que lo mantengan con una nada más y te dejen esperando tanto tiempo. Y es lo que yo le decía, mi ansiedad no pudiera con tanto y entendible. Y luego le dije que cómo es que con dos integrantes de Flotsam y Jetsam quizás había influenciado no el disco nuevo, y me dice que puede ser porque al final son ellos mismos los que tocan, pero él compara Flotsam con 5 carajos que están a todo pedal, a todo gas en 5 carros y hacen música y componen lo rápido que son. En cambio, ellos aquí son un poco más melódicos, más tranquilos, con mucha más técnica. So, Mr. K, I just saw yesterday, I was revisiting the music singles or the music videos of the new record when it just killed, and I saw the views. Everything right now is viewed, everything right now is played, if you're talking about Spotify, Tidal, whatever. In each view of each video of Fifth Angel is 200 top, 100,000 top. So the video are getting through. I mean, that's a lot of view. And that's me only something that the new record in Fifth Angel is kicking it right now with this new record. I don't know if you saw it, or I don't know if you followed those things or those topics, but that detail, for example, the last video, 200,000 views, that's a lot, and that's mean more people that are going to your show live. I don't know if you realize that.
Sure. Yeah, we do. Obviously, we do look at those numbers, and we look at the impact that it's having, and I mean, we definitely appreciate the fact that our fans are still there, and they're still listening to us, and still listening, and still buying records, and I mean, we cannot thank the fans enough. We just want to say, I definitely want to thank all of our fans in South America. We really do appreciate all the support over the years, because, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing without the fans, and people, with us, like we talked about, like it's different when you're Iron Maiden, when you're a huge band, that's one thing, but when you're a band like Fifth Angel, the fan support is everything. I mean, it's literally everything to us. So we're very appreciative of all the fans that have stuck with us for all these years and are still listening to our music.
Who made the art behind this record?
I'm sorry?
Who made the art behind the record? All the concept art, all the graphics.
Yes, it's a fabulous artist out of the UK named Andy Pilkington, and we told him the concept for the record, and actually here, let me grab it real quick.
Let me see.
I have a copy of the.
Oh, perfect.
Of vinyl, but here's the vinyl. This is the artwork that you're talking about, and
beautiful.
Yeah, Andy did that. He did the whole layout, and then inside you see pictures of the band from live, and can you see that at all?
Beautiful.
Yeah, and then but Andy did the entire layout. But when we saw this cover, because of the story, the story has a dual meaning, because, and this cover has a dual meaning because, when angels kill, people always think of, a guardian angel, the angel saved me, kept me from getting hit by this bus. Well, these angels are here to destroy the earth at some point. So this kind of shows that duality, but there's also a character named Lana in the story, and she becomes the love interest for Phoenix, and she appears to be an angel, but she ends up not being, I don't want to give away too much of the story, but she ends up not being a good person, and ends up getting Phoenix's friends killed. And so when we saw this cover, we were like, I'm trying to hold it up there, but yeah, when we saw the cover, we thought, wow, this is perfect. And we didn't tell him to do that. This is something he came up with on his own. So he did a fantastic job. I think the cover was absolutely perfect.
On point, as we say. Yo le comentaba a Ken primero sobre los views sobre sus videos, que como todo se transforma en views, todo se transforma en cuántos suenan en Spotify y demás, y él me dice que sí, que agradece mucho a los fans, porque una vez más lo repite, bandas grandes quizás no les afecte tanto, pero bandas de mediana o pequeña, todo tiene que ver con los fans o cómo ayudan o cómo dan su apoyo en cada video, en cada compra, en cada ticket que compran para ir a verlas un show. Y luego le comentaba quién había hecho las gráficas de su nuevo disco. Me dijo que fue un artista londinense, se llama Andy, quien fue el que hizo todo el concepto, sobre todo esta ángel que se llama Lana, y cómo nos mostraba esa dualidad de que sí, ella parece esta típica ángel que te va a salvar de si un boss te va a atropellar, pero realmente no es tan buena, y por eso es que muestra esa dualidad ahí. So, my man, I don't know if you have any plans further to do a tour here in South America. It will be
awesome. we
your life. Oh,
yes, we would love to, and we've actually been talking with a couple of promoters, but yes, we would love to come see our fans in South America. We really would. That would be fantastic.
Well, do you have any plan even in the US or outside so far?
Well, we have some plans in 2024. We had some shows. We did play a show in Germany right before the album was released, and we had a couple more shows that just because of we had one show and then we had 2 weeks off and then another show, and this was in Europe, and financially we just couldn't make it happen. So I mean, just like we talked about the trouble with touring, and they were supposed to fill in some dates and that didn't happen. So we're certainly doing everything we can that will hopefully, we don't even care if we make money. We just want to break even. we just don't want to lose money. And that's the challenge now, is we're trying to do tours that you can go and do what you need to do, and as long as you can not lose, that would be great. So that's really what we're doing now, is trying to put together dates that makes.
I was talking with a friend yesterday, and she had a band, right? And she said, I need to sell 150 tickets to be even. Right now, I have 73. And I talked to her, okay, be patient, but that's the challenge right now. Try to do the show live, but because you have a lot of competition with big bands or big projects or whatever, or big shows, the artists look like, okay, I'm looking forward to be even, not to lose money, but to bring my art or my band, my music to their fans. And as you say, that will be pretty cool. See you here doing your show, of course, making music, because making money, because at the end it's your job. These are your passion, right? And to keep the music alive in bands like Fifth Angel alive, we need, as fans, to keep supporting our bands, buying their merch, their double vinyl, When Angels Kills, buying their tickets, seeing, doing likes, doing follows, and that's our duty. So I don't know, my man, if you have any plans, well, you are talking about the band, to release other video from this new record?
Well, we actually talked about, that's a great question. Normally, you do 3 videos and that's it. But we do have other footage that we've shot, and we're just kind of we do have some more stuff that we are thinking about releasing. So yes, if we're able to get that together, we will do that. But yeah, that's a good question. we did actually shoot some extra footage, so we do have extra footage for another song. We'll see if we can get that put together.
Nice. And just to finish, so I have another question. Right now, what kind of music or artist are you listening right now? Top three, usually in your.
That's really funny. I'm a producer, and I produce music for a lot of different artists, and I listen to music, all day long for work, for as a producer. So I'm not actually listening to anything for enjoyment right now.
Okay. Only for work.
I'm only listening to what I'm producing, and we're working on a new Flotsam album, as you mentioned. And so right now I'm listening, heavily to new Flotsam. We're writing and we're creating, the material for the next album. So that's kind of what I'm engaged in. I'm not really listening to much outside of that at this point.
Okay. And beside that, well, as you mentioned, you wanna do some new music with Flotsam. You have another project beside that, beside Fifth Angel and Flotsam?
Well, there's a lot of other independent artists, that I produce. So there are people, the product's not out yet, so no one would know, who the people are yet. But I am engaged in producing other artists that are outside of, like I'm not in the band, I'm just producing them. So I have a recording studio, and so that's what I do when I'm not touring and I'm not, working on one of my bands. So that's pretty much absorbing all my time.
Nice. I got it. We need to work, eh? So, just to finish, I don't know if you want to say a few words for the Chilean fans in South America. Why not? From Fifth Angel.
Absolutely. Well, the Chilean fans, again, we are so thankful for each and every one of you. Each and every one of you that support Fifth Angel and Flotsam, and and support metal. Because it keeps us doing what we're doing, and we're very aware of the importance of the fans. A lot of bands, they always say like, oh, we love our fans, but we really do love our fans. When we get to meet our fans. And when we went to the Kit Festival, we had like about an hour where we could sign things and talk to people and just, take photos with them. And, we had such a great time. That was the best. That was why we do all this, that 1 hour was magical to us. And we certainly would love to see our Chilean fans as well. We would love to do that.
That's pretty cool. Thank you, sir, for your time. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Y bueno, esto fue otro show de The Run Show para Rock en la Vena. Así que nos vemos en una próxima oportunidad con Mr. Ken Mary aquí de Fifth Angel promocionando su nuevo disco When Angels Kill. Tienen que comprarlo, apoyar y seguirlos para que puedan mantener esa música viva y puedan visitarnos futuramente. Así que para los promotores, aquí tienen a la banda, contraten, traigan y vamos.